What's up, friends? Welcome to my channel. I wasn't gonna be all like performative, but that was on my mind, so that's what happened. But anyway, what's up? Hi. I'm about to get my day started at the ripe old time of like 1:30 p.m. You know what I mean? I felt pretty good today. I actually got up a little bit earlier a couple hours ago and I got some stuff done. I did some laundry today, found out where the trash is in this building and and where to take my trash out. I appreciate that. It was getting backed up in here, so I got a chance to like clear some stuff out of the space I'm in. I'm very happy about that. I think I'm gonna have to start fixing this bed or something because I'm starting to get energized. I'm starting to care about how spaces feel and how I feel and stuff like that. So fire. I don't really have a plan. What I'm about to do is go out and pick up a few things from the mall next door because they have that store that has groceries and all of the stuff that you need for an entire house. So I'm gonna stop there and pick up some essentials, pick up some food, then I'll figure out what I'll be talking to you about. I guess I'll show you this place in the daytime, which literally never happens because I'm never outside. So that's the train tracks. This is my building. I live up there. And I'm off to the store. I'm here. Came to the snack aisle exactly as I should. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get my stuff. I still don't know what I want to talk to y'all about. So I'll figure it out though. See you in a second. Just a quick look, folks. Beautiful sunshine though. It's mad hot out here, guys. Obviously, it is Malaysia. So, did some damage. I'll show you my haul in a bit. Basically, I'm just gonna sit in front of the fan for a minute, and then I'll catch up with you. Honestly, I want to talk about Rednote. So, if you've been on my channel before, if you haven't, that's okay. Welcome. If you have, I have serious adventures on Rednote. Like, I be really trying to understand the Chinese mentality, and also as a cultural exchange. I think the thing that's in the way is that the rightness and the ego, like on both sides. Americans think they're right and they have ego about it. Chinese think they're right and they have ego about it. So what I want to do is like bridge the gap. Like I want people to get rid of, like, recognize the stuff that is not working in each culture and learn from the other culture what is working. Kind of a vibe. The view from the 12th floor. Cool, huh? This is how I knew this area might be a little well off. I'll get back to Rednote, but here is the haul. I've got fingernail clippers, deodorant, ponytail holder, toothbrush, face towels, because some people don't believe in that, but I do. Lady things, face wash, Mentos, lots of pasta. These cheese crackers, I've tried the peanut butter ones. I like them, so I wanted to give the cheese ones a try. Seaweed to put in all of this pasta. Tofu to put in all of this pasta, and an American salad with no cheese. If you're American, you know that there's cheese in almost every salad, but no cheese in that salad, just Thousand Island salad dressing. Anyway, back to Rednote. That haul was 119.80 ringgit. I will put on the screen how much that is in USD. When you look at the price in ringgit, you feel the same thing that you feel for whatever that amount is in USD. But if you have USD, it's a delightful surprise. You know what I mean? But anyway, about Rednote, I've been having some really interesting conversations, and I learned a few things about Chinese culturists. So I figured I'd share that with you. So number one that I learned is that saving face is really important. So the image of China and the image of Chinese people is really important. That means it's going to take you a minute to get to the truth of things, because if the truth doesn't make you look good, it's not beneficial for them to tell you that. You know what I mean? But I think that's the same in a lot of cultures. Like growing up this in the United States, like my mom was a church lady. And if you know anything about church ladies, like my mom did the whole thing. Like she did the lime green suit with the white shirt with the big elaborate hat. Like you know what I mean? Like southern dressed up church lady type things. And along with the belief system, my mom was quite concerned with face. So when she saving face, just face is what they call it in China. But my mom was quite concerned with the image of the family. Both of my parents were, because they felt like whatever we did as children reflected on their parenting. And however we behaved or however we looked would show other people how well our parents were parenting us. What they didn't know is that good-looking, quiet kids had a scary home life. But that's something that we have in common with some Chinese people. One of the questions I raised on Rednote, also known as Xiaohongshu, is DV. Does that exist? I had an argument on somebody else's post, and the people responded in abundance. But I had an argument or a discussion, a debate on someone else's post about spanking children. I personally, as someone who grew up being spanked, am very, very strongly against it. Very strongly against it. I feel like there are way easier, better, more positive, more bonding and connective ways to teach your children. But growing up the way I did, I learned that violence keeps you quiet, which is what I think spanking is. I think it keeps you quiet. It keeps the kids afraid of the parents. And while they're around their parents, they'll shrink. But as soon as they have the freedom to express themselves, they will express themselves. And that ultimately ties back to face. It reflects badly on the parents, and then the parents hear about it, and then they do the whole cycle again. You know what I mean? They come down on the children shrink, and then when they're away from their parents, they blossom, and et cetera, et cetera. Or they express all of those pent up emotions that they could not express around their parents. So apparently in China, same. Like, they also have a huge spanking culture. The thing is, they also have a belief system around it that says this is required. Spare the rod, spoil the child. They have the exact same thing. Some parents think it is required to spank your children, otherwise you are not raising them well. And they also believe that it has nothing to do with the parents' behavior, it has nothing to do with the parents controlling their own emotions and temper, and it has everything to do with the child's behavior. So that's something I see in the East and the West. People just not being accountable for the fact that they hit a child. You know what I mean? Like, people not understanding that if you teach the children the behavior you want and then positively reinforce it with rewards and prizes and things that they actually want, but saying, hey, do this first and then you can get what you want. It's like that stuff doesn't exist. They believe that, wait until the child screws up and then punish them. And that's education. So to me, that's ridiculous, but it is something that a lot of people have in common between the West and the East, or specifically the US and the people on Rednote who are from China that I spoke to specifically. But while I raised the question of DV, that part was mentioned, but also interesting what I found out about relationships. I found out that you can be violent to a totally stranger and you will have a harsher punishment than if you are violent towards your spouse, especially men. So if women are violent toward their spouse, it is absolutely dismissed, because just like in the US, they have the belief that a man as strong has muscles should be able to fight back. You know what I mean? There's no way that he would let a female be violent toward him. So that's not taken seriously, even though I've heard stories about what women do when they do get violent. And it absolutely should be punishable by law. However, I learned that once you are married, from the people I spoke to on Rednote, this is not, I feel like it's prevalent, but we want to save face, right? So they say face. I'm going to say this. This, I actually don't want to save their face. I'm just going to say what I found. So you get a more lenient punishment if you get married. So for a man committing atrocities against a woman, number one, there is no system of help for the woman. Any kind of DV situation is considered a family matter. So that means when it's happening, the cops will look away, neighbors will look away, people will ignore it because they want to stay out of it. They think of it as a family matter, meaning it is between those two spouses to resolve. So even if she wanted help, she could go to the cops and the cops would be like, well, let's mediate. And then the cops would leave. Solves nothing. Also, I understand that in order to really get assistance, the woman has to be very seriously injured, which is messed up, super messed up. And I remember asking somebody the question, like, what are people supposed to do if the threat is their family? Like, what are people supposed to do? They have things called women's federations, and I believe that these are in place specifically to help women who deal with DV. However, it seems like by and large, there is no help unless you are seriously injured, and there is no punishment unless she passes. And even then, the sentence for doing the same thing to a stranger is less than if you do it to your wife. So that was a super heavy conversation that I was not bargaining for when I went on Rednote. I just simply asked that question because I had heard from when I commented about spanking that so many people, the people who received spanking, always blame themselves. They always say, I deserved it. And I think the psychological abuse that it takes to convince a child that they deserve to be hit by their parents is absolutely crazy. But it's also super widespread and super culturally acceptable to scapegoat the children for the parents not being in control of their behavior and their temper, which is what I think punishment is. I think a child does something you don't like and you beat them up or spank them or, what have you. There's definitely going to be a trigger warning on this video, huh? So anyway, when I heard the resounding response that they were being naughty and they deserved it, and the parents got off scot-free, like the parents never did anything wrong, or the parents were concerned and the child made a big mistake and that's the only reason why you hit them. Like, one person told me a story, I don't know if you'll ever see this video, and also it's in English, but one person told me this story that he had never raised a hand to his son until his son did something really dangerous. He was out with his friend, they jumped off something high, and his friend fell and broke his leg. So when he got his son home, he spanked his child. Well, we'll say spanked. I don't really know what he did. He wasn't detailed about it, but he spanked his child, and he justified to me spanking his child that he was scared that his son would not know the consequences of his actions unless he was spanked. And he also wanted to make his son aware that his actions affect the whole family and not just him. Meaning, if you get hurt, I will worry about you. So it was eloquent. It was beautifully said, but he is missing something. And I told him, I was like, your son saw the consequences of his action when his friend did the exact same thing and broke his leg. That was the lesson. The lesson was it could have been him. That was the lesson. And then also with the second part where he was saying his son wouldn't have understood that there's consequences to his actions if he didn't. Whooping him adds insult to injury. I said this to this person too. I was like, not only did this person witness his friend break his leg, but now he got whooped to boot. What? And then the parent saying, I was worried, I was scared, so I whooped him. So how about you go to your child and ask them if they're okay? How about you ask your child what they learned from that instead of assuming that they wouldn't learn and then spanking them? If your child is old enough to jump off something big and to witness a broken leg, first off, you need to make sure you check in with that child to see if they're okay. How about that? Then after that, explain the situation, use it as a teachable moment, and explain how you felt. Whooping the child was absolutely unnecessary in my mind, and I said as much. But this person, like many people, one, they need to justify their actions. They can't see their action as something bad. They can't take accountability and say, hey, I could have done that better. That's not a thing from the conversations I've had anyway. And then also, like, the victim blaming thing, like, the amount of adult people who got spanked as a child and say, I deserved it, is just absolutely heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And these people wonder why they don't have close relationships with their parents. Again, this is just from the small pool of Chinese people that I've had access to or that I've spoken with on Rednote just via comments. I don't know these people personally. I don't know their entire story. I just have small anecdotes and comments to go on. But I also think that, you know, the Western culture, especially being a part of the culture I'm from, in the US, same thing. With my parents spanked all 7 of us. My dad physically fist fought my brothers. We got beatings and spankings. And the excuse for my parents was that this is how you do it. This is how you discipline children. So let's break down what discipline is. I define discipline, you can look it up in the dictionary if you, dictionaries don't exist now, right? It's like dictionary.com. It's Google. Just aged myself. But anyway, look it up if you want the actual definition of discipline. But how I define discipline is teaching children self-control, teaching children self-management. That's how I define discipline, like you would in a martial art, or like you would in dance, or like you would in anything else that's organized. You teach children to condition themselves to perform the best in certain areas. And I think discipline in children is doing that for life, right? You teach kids how to best manage their emotions and how to best manage their actions for themselves. Somewhere along the line, people thought hitting kids was discipline. I think hitting kids is just hitting kids. Is that just me? But anyway, it's a little bit of a heavy conversation. This conversation is running long, so I will go ahead and end it with saying those things I find are very similar between China and the US, but the issue for me is the DV laws. That's a bit messed up, but also I don't remember. Saving face. Yeah, saving face is a thing everywhere, right? We, like, the US also wants people to believe that we're the greatest country in the world. But anytime you get past the public image, then you'll get to the truth, right? Anywho, yeah, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to say I see similarities between both cultures, and I see many more similarities than I'm saying in this video, but I'll leave it at there for now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for showing up to this part of the video that you did not know was coming after the vlog part. I appreciate you listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll see you in the next one. If you want to support me, there's ways to do that in the description.